that's fantastic. It looks like I'm just going to remove this front master cylinder here. So not much I can do. This is an $18 fix, so yeah, we'll just have to do without the parking brake for now. Oh, didn't get it all the way tight. I just moved it. There's a lot of air in the system. This one open as well. And we're going to close it. We're going to open it up again, and then now we're going to go refill the master cylinder. And I'm going to go back down and bleed the fluid again. Okay, so now that we have the front end together here, the last step that I have is to actually bleed the brakes. I went to inspect the actual master cylinder on the top, and the glass was pretty much broken on the sight glass for the master cylinder. It's not broke all the way through that it's gonna leak, but it's broke. So what I did was I got online, and they have these master cylinders for 500 or 525, really reasonable. It's not built the same. It appears to be a little bit different. However, it should be fine. It should be the same. It's labeled, it should be the same. I'm not super worried about it, but I did read a review that a couple people have bought these and they haven't worked. Don't know what the deal is. It was very reasonably priced. I think it was under 20 bucks for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the tires off, and then we'll go ahead and start removing the master cylinder and get the line disconnected, and then we'll go through and bleed the new brakes. Hopefully there's no issues. We might run into some issues, and I might end up having to buy another master cylinder. I really hope not, but this is the way this quad's going, man. Everything on this quad needs replaced, so I'm going to go ahead and replace it. So yeah, let's get to work. I'm actually going to be jacking this up, and then once I jack this up, I'm going to be putting jack stands underneath of it. And then I'm just going to zip the tires off. And I just looked at the clock here, so again, I'm out of time. I'm going to end up having to go to work here, so we'll at least get the tires off. I'll come back out tomorrow. So now what we'll do is we'll just zip these tires off before I go to work. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. Get these tires out of the way. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out where I left off at. I've been out here 3 weeks. I just got caught up with work, and it looks like I'm just going to remove this front master cylinder here. So I went ahead and lowered the lift, and we'll come in and remove the rest if there's any brake fluid left in that, and then disconnect our line before we put this master cylinder on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to remove this cap. You just have 2 screws. I'm going to see if there's any fluid left in there. And there is the rubber. Yeah, there's a little bit of fluid in there. So we're going to extract the fluid that's left inside of there. And I'm going to try to get it with this syringe. Get as much of it out as possible. I've got out about as much as I can. Then after I've got out as much fluid as possible, we're going to go ahead and remove the nut here on the line. And we're going to remove this nut on the line while the unit is still tightened on the handlebars. And it appears the nut is a 12 millimeter. We're just going to break it loose. And it's going to leak. That's why we've got our towel ready to go here. I'm going to try to not get it all over everything. Like so. Then we're going to go to the front side here, and we're going to undo our 2 bolts. And this ATV does have reverse, so we're going to leave the reverse line connected. And with our front brake line disconnected, we're just going to go ahead and remove our 2 nuts here. And I'm not 100% sure this master cylinder is going to work, but we're going to try to keep this front plate with the reverse wire and try to get it connected to the new unit. Hopefully it will just mount up. I'm not 100% sure that this is going to work, so and we'll just remove. Ah, crap, I forgot about the electrical wire. So we're just going to disconnect our front electrical wire as well, and we're going to remove the whole front master cylinder here. So we now have our new master cylinder, and it does appear, I didn't realize this, but we're actually going to lose the parking brake. And a lot of people say, oh, what's the big deal with that? Well, if you're not racing and this new unit doesn't have a parking brake, a lot of people don't ever use the parking brake. But people that have actually ridden in the woods and understand that this parking brake is a very essential part of your brake system, because if you were to climb a hill and your back tires start spinning out, or you get off the trail and your quad isn't quite running down the trail properly, and you get stuck or something like that, or you're going to go down a hill, you actually want this parking brake, because you can use this parking brake and move the quad with the throttle and all kinds of stuff just from having a parking brake. So not real happy about losing the parking brake. The parking brake I've used many a times before I have flipped over a hill or gotten in a possible ravine or something like that. So not much I can do. This is an $18 fix, so yeah, we'll just have to do without the parking brake for now. Okay, also on reinstall, we're going to put our unit in the front here. I think we're going to be okay. There is some very small differences in this unit, so we're going to go ahead and use the new bolts that came with the unit, and we're just going to install right where the unit was, and it doesn't quite look like it's going to be a perfect fit compared to the old unit itself. And these new bolts are 8mm, so what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of run them in at the top and then go back down to the bottom until we get this thing kind of tight against the handlebars. And then we're going to come back and tighten it up just a little bit. Then we're going to come back and tighten it. Just enough to keep pulling it forward so we can get the brake line on there, and that'll hold it. So what we want to do is we want to remove the new banjo bolt that's in the unit itself, and it has two new washers in there, crush washers. And for some reason, I'm not familiar with this, but Polaris is using rubber inserts in their lines. I do not know why. I don't really like rubber lines. So we'll see if they work. If not, I've got some crush washers. And we're just going to remove the old banjo bolt here and put it back in our unit. And then we're going to reinstall our new line and hope we get a good seal here. Now, we've got a little issue with the brake line where the brake line had went from a back unit to a forward unit. So what I need to do now is reroute this brake line up by the starter relay, but I don't really want to get it next to all the battery cables. So we'll probably have to zip tie this thing off to some other pieces so it will clear all this electrical. So what we're going to do is we're actually just going to connect it, go ahead and connect it to the master cylinder now. And we'll go ahead and connect our banjo bolt here. Don't forget to use the new sealing crush washers. And this will be a 12mm. I'm not real sure if I want to run this above or below that. I think I'll keep it below. And we have plenty of leeway here. We'll have to zip tie some of this off. Then we'll go ahead and tighten this up. And I'm going to go ahead and hold this brake line more toward the handlebars, And as I'm tightening this up, it's going to want to pull back. We're going to want to try to keep that line as close as possible to here. And we may have some fitment issues with the fairing running this. I won't know until we put the plastic on. And then I'll just go ahead and tighten this. Oh, didn't get it all the way tight. I just moved it. That should work. And we still have plenty of excess here with the movement. And what I'm going to do here is we're just going to zip tie this to the other line here. Then I will zip tie right here down here as well. And try and keep it away from the starter relay is underneath of here. And also keep this line away from the ground up top there. And if we need to come adjust this later, we will. Okay, so we now have that officially done. What we're going to do now is remove our new cap and our diaphragm inside the master cylinder. And we're just going to set these aside from the old unit itself. Then we're going to go get some Amsoil fluid. Okay, so if you see my videos, now you're getting ready to get the Amsoil sales pitch. Amsoil dealer, independent dealer 5541460. We're going to be using Dominator synthetic .4 racing oil. This is not the same oil that will be used in the master cylinder. These KTM engines use, I don't remember what kind of Magura special oil. I'm not real sure. I've got 2 bottles of it over there. But this is some of the best .4 fluid that you can almost buy that's made in America. This fluid, I run this everything in my Ducatis, Aprilia street bikes, 200 horsepower EBR motorcycle. This is the fluid you want. Check the links below. And what we're going to do is, at least I think this is new fluid, we're going to go ahead and fill the master cylinder, and we're going to tilt the handlebars just a little bit because we want to try to get the master cylinder flat. Because if the brake cylinder is, I set this lever up a little bit rather than down, because when you're riding in the dirt and you have gloves that are muddy or whatnot, I want to be able to just go up with my fingers. I don't want to have to go down with my thumb throttle. So I set the throttle up just a little bit. It's just a little bit easier to grab the brake lever. So we're going to kind of level it out, and I'm going to put the new fluid in. And then on these new brake calipers, now this is going to put air into the system, but we already have air in the line. I'm just going to pump this just a little bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn the air compressor on, and I'm going to bleed the brakes with my pneumatic brake bleeder, which also I will put an Amazon link below. If you have problems or ever had problems bleeding a system, That pneumatic brake bleeder is one of the best things I've ever bought for a mechanical tool. So I'm just going to pump this and pump some of this fluid down. Don't pump it too hard or it'll come out and shoot out like I did there. I also read that some of these cheaper master cylinders, like this $18 one that I bought, some of them don't work. I do not know if it's because they're mass produced in China, or I do not know if the people aren't bleeding the brakes properly. So I'm not real sure, but I do know this, with that pneumatic brake bleeder, it'll bleed the brakes properly. So and the master cylinder is it is appearing to work. So it is pushing, some of the fluid in there. So I'm going to turn the air compressor on, and we're going to go ahead and bleed the brakes. The one thing when you're bleeding the brakes, especially with new calipers, we're going to go to the farthest brake from the master cylinder first, which will be your left side, your front clutch side brake, because there's more length of hose to that brake. And then we'll come back to the closest side, which will be the right brake. Some Polarises, if you have a Sportsman or some kind of off-road utility, your whole brake system will control your front and your back brakes. This is a Sport Quad, so it doesn't. So we'll go ahead and, bleed the brakes. Okay, so I want you to watch me very closely what I'm going to do here. If you've never bled brakes before, then you might want to get a mechanic or somebody that has bled brakes to come and help you. We have got our tool hooked up here, and I'm actually going to hang it a little lower. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our 8mm wrench on, which is going to be used to loosen the brake bleeder. And then we're going to go ahead and connect our suction hose to the new brake caliper. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn the tool on, and we're going to bleed and run the system, run the brake fluid down to the new calipers, and hope we don't have any leaks. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we're not going to do this very quick, because it's going to suck all the fluid down in here fairly quick, and then we're going to have to come back and refill it. So we're going to go ahead and turn the system on. Then we're going to open our brake bleeder and close it. We're going to open it up one more time, and then we're going to close it. Now what we have to do is we've got to refill the brake cup. As you can see, that was done very quickly. So we are now going to put more fluid in the brake cup. You never want this brake cup to run dry. So we're going to go back and we're going to repeat the process again. This is going to take quite a while to do this. We're going to come back, we're going to open our tool up. We're going to hold our rubber piece on the bleeder, and we're going to open it up. You can feel the brake fluid coming in. There's a lot of air in the system. You can hear the air compressor running. And then I'm going to refill the brake cup. Now we're going to do this one more time, and then we're going to switch sides. And I can feel the air coming out of it. We're going to open it up one more time and go to the other side. Always leave this tool on when this is being shut. If you shut the tool off before this valve is being shut, it'll let air into the system. Okay, so I just topped off the fluid again, and we're going to come over here to the other side. And we're going to bleed the other side as well. We're going to go ahead and let the air compressor catch up, and when it shuts off, I'll turn this on. Okay, so the air compressor has shut off. We're going to go ahead and turn our tool on, then we're going to break this one open as well. Then we're going to close it. We're going to open it up again, and then now we're going to go refill the master cylinder. And now we're going to refill our master cylinder, and I'm going to go back down and bleed the fluid again, and then fill it up one more time. So as this tool is being used, you'll see the fluid start to be pulled down through the system. And you never want to let this run dry. So we're going to go ahead and bleed it again, and I'm going to go to the next side. And this thing still has air in it. I can feel it coming out. Here we go. This should be the last time here on this side, then we'll go to the other side, and then we'll pump the brakes and see if we got brakes. put our cap on. I think we'll be pretty good here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, well, I'm going to put a little more fluid in there, and then we're going to go ahead and put our top in. And we're going to hopefully not overfill this. And we're going to install our last 2 screws and then see if we got brakes. When you put these 2 screws in, it's pretty important not to over tighten these screws, because you can actually create an air leak by over tightening these. And I'll tell you what, these diaphragms need to be replaced probably every time that you bleed your system. I would replace these diaphragms. But a little tip is, go ahead and run one side in and don't tighten it, and then go to the other side and just get it seated. And then I would just give it about a 1/4 turn is all that these need. And then what you'll want to do is, if you got any brake fluid on anything, wipe it off. And I'm going to see if we have any leaks here. And it doesn't appear that we do, but it also appears, there we go. Okay, so if you bleed these brakes and you have a new system, what you're going to want to do is pump this master cylinder up. And what's going on there is, when you don't have any brakes, the caliper is pushing the pistons out. So what the caliper needs to do is, it needs to push the brake pads out and apply the brakes, and then when you let off of the lever, it'll free float the brakes. So we have brakes on this side. And we have brakes on both sides. So I'm really happy with that. Worth every penny. Dispose of the brake fluid properly. These brakes may feel a little tight to begin with, but as you apply them and use them, it'll thin its way out on these pads. have brakes, now it's time to go ahead and get these tires put on here. And then, my God, we'll start on the back end of this quad. So this whole front end of this quad is basically new. New bearings, new brakes, new master cylinder, new calipers, new ball joints, new tie rod ends. Go up one more here. Okay, so we're going to reinstall the tires. I just want to tell you, if you've never paint pinned a tire, check the link below. I show you how to paint pin the tire. It's just something neat to do. And we'll go ahead and put these on. I just can't remember if these were directional tires, which they're not. We'll go ahead and get them on the quad. Okay, y'all, so that's pretty much it. One thing is, don't forget to check the links below, especially the Outlaw 525 playlist. The whole front end's done. I'm going to start moving toward the back end here, thank God. And yeah, you can do this work. It just may take you a little bit of time. And please don't forget to check the links below. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Comment, thumbs up. The algorithm, I'm learning more about the algorithm. That really needs to be done. So if you give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, I don't care which one it is, just hit either one. That'll really help me get in the algorithm for the video searches. But the one thing is, there's nobody else working on these quads. So if you find these videos, make sure you check that playlist out. And any of the Amsoil purchases really help me out. So give that Dominator Dot 4 a chance. That Dominator, you will be very happy with it. I'm out of here.